You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith, and the interview subject I have coming up for you is Mr. Dillon Carlsson from the outfit The Ninth Chapter. The reason for the conversation is to promote the band's outstanding brand new album. It's a self-titled affair. There you go. So it's called The Ninth Chapter. Let's hear what Dillon has to say. Here we go. Mackay-Smith calling for our chat. How are you?
Good, mate. Good. How's things?
Mate, plugging away. I'm on uni holidays. I'm a mature age student, so don't let me allow you to think I'm 18 or 19 or anything youthful like that. I feel like I'm on school holidays because most kids are on school holidays at the same time. So it's
very nice, very nice.
It's this weird kind of symbiotic, or the thing we've got in common. Put it that way, where they're on holidays and so am I, and I go back in about 5 weeks' time or so.
Oh, mate, they'll be jealous about that because they only get two, don't they?
Yeah, they only get two. So it's an opportunity to catch up and spend some quality time. I was just helping my daughter with her drum lessons before. She's only young. She's only 5 or so. She's turning 6 soon, but she's only 5, so she's still sort of getting the hang of it. You know how it is.
Yeah, I've got a couple of little girls myself. We actually homeschool our kids, so in terms of school holidays, they never go. So,
Is that right? So what was, if you don't mind me asking, what inspired the decision to homeschool?
Oh, look, my wife's actually the irony of the whole situation. My wife's doing a Masters of Teaching as well to work in schools. Yep. But, mate, to be honest, it's a combination of things like we ran into a group of people that were homeschooling. We live in Redcliffe, Queensland. There was a group on the beach one day. We were there. Our kids weren't school age, but these people were a little bit older, and we sort of just got chatting and asked them what they were doing, and they were doing school, and I was like, "What? You're doing school?" And mate, I suppose it was just there's a real sense of look, you can tailor the education to suit children.
Yep.
I spoke to our neighbours who have exactly the same age children as us, and the first day they came home from school, said, "How many kids in your class?" And she said, 31. I was like, wow. How many teachers? 1. I was like, oh, geez, tough gig for the teacher. It's sort of also made us go, well, you know what, my wife's studying, so we can actually juggle and balance this. She does work on the weekends as it is, and we thought, look, we'll give it a go, and we'll just see how it goes. And I think the days of old, like, people probably still perceive homeschooling to be this sort of remote bunch of people out in the bush that actually sit in a room at home and they try and emulate a classroom sort of feel. That's just not what it's like anymore at all. Like, my kids are crazy busy, and they're constantly at excursions with other homeschools. They're a community, they all get together. It's a
community thing, I get you. I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
There'd be 50, 60, 70 kids, so you still get all of that.
Yeah.
First thing people say is, what about, the social side of it? And I just always chuckle because my kids they're 9 and 11 now, but they'll talk to anyone and everyone. They are so confident in having discussions. I think you get very used to when you're at school just engaging with people your own age.
Yep.
You're in year 3, you hang out with the year 3s, maybe the year 4s if you're cool. Whereas you get it's a much more broad kind of cross-section of people that you engage with in that sort of homeschool space because, whilst I suppose we target the educational streams at their, relevant areas of their competencies, I suppose. If they're in year 5, we try and stick with at least the year 5 or year 6 curriculum. But but they're talking to people who are a lot older and a lot younger too. It's really nice. So we've just loved it ever since we've done it. It's just been it's just one thing after another that's just felt right about it. So anyway, we'll see how long it goes. Nothing's forever, but as they get closer to high school, and it might be that they actually tried school for a term, both of them, and just went, you know what, it's kind of boring. You sit there a lot and you just wait for the teacher, and yeah, we'll try something else.
Yeah, a lot of social pressure as well at schools. I think that are rather needless. I mean, a lot of schooling is just about being glorified childcare centres, really, aren't they? They're just giving kids something to do as opposed to educating.
Oh, mate, look, I suppose at the risk that this conversation's being recorded and distributed all over the World Wide Web, I don't want to bag out the, the educational institutions too much, but yeah, look, I suppose it's probably served a purpose in the bloody Industrial Revolution more than it. Anyway,
you bang on. Yeah, you've said something that I've been talking. Being a uni student, you start to think in different ways, in academic ways. That's the only way I can describe it. You start to go to the root cause of where things were. And schooling is something, the way we understand it, the way we do it, it is something that happened around the Industrial Revolution. And it's effectively a hangover from that period.
It's a great purpose then.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, it kept children out of slavery. That was one thing, or child labour or whatever.
Yeah. Yep. In one way or another. Yeah. Look, it's an interesting beast, isn't it? Certainly like the thought that my children, don't feel the pressure to kind of conform to those social norms too, in terms of, sit still, do as you're told, wear a uniform, hands on heads. It's like, that's all fine. They need to know when to behave in inverted commas, but it's also, I don't believe in kind of time wasting. If the kids are finished, then go outside, climb a tree, pick up a bug, explore that, use the microscope we've got in the house, there's a lot of, we've got, our house is just a chaos, mate. There's shit from one end to the other of, different
I know the feeling.
That they play with it's like, anyway, love it. I'll talk about it forever, but no, it's definitely been something that we've, really kind of engaged with on an intellectual level, my wife and I as well, is, are we doing the right thing? Are we crazy? People probably think we're completely nuts. That's fine. I can live with that. But, other kids can turn around in 10 years and go, what the hell are you doing? But no, I'm pretty bloody convinced they're not. So, we'll see, mate. Yeah.
More power to you both, mate, and more power to you as a family, mate, on that one.
I actually, it was a bit crackly at the start. I didn't get your name, actually.
Oh, Andrew Mackay-Smith's my name. Yeah, Lee's
cool.
Set all of these up with... I try to interview everybody that gets distributed by Firestarter. I've been doing this now for about 2.5 years or so. About that long or so, man. And some of my favourite albums, certainly from 2017 and 18, came through the distro.
Really?
Yeah, and then look, let me tell you, your one is rather special because it's probably the first album that I've been introduced to through Firestarter that I found, frankly, uncategorizable in a really good way. It's stuff
we do that too. We can't figure it out.
Well, it reminds me of being at Ocean Street, there on the sunny coast. Your third cocktail into your night from the Sneaky Baron, and your stuff comes on live. It's just got that killer vibe about it, and it's a self-titled album, and from start to finish it doesn't repeat itself. It's one of those albums where there's constantly new things coming at you, but it does all link and make sense. Nothing's out of context. So for example, if I was going to talk about the first cut, what's the first cut called, sorry, on the
first track, My Baby Don't Come Around.
Okay, My Baby Don't Come Around. Now, if Bootsy stuck around instead of joining Funkadelic back in the late 70s, and if he continued to write songs for James Brown, see, I'm a bassist, man, so I'm right up with these guys like Bootsy.
You go.
But, the album that would have been the album that was eventually non-stop could have been very different, could have sounded a lot like that cut. So there's a lot of great funk, groove, and soul references through it, man, so you really know how to make a great dance album.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, like the evolution of the band and how the songs have ended up, really quite varied. There's some really folky stuff in there, obviously, but with there's a couple of tracks. I think there's one track in there that's a real crossover for us. It has a really folky feel in this section where it just hits that kind of groove-based funk thing, and I can't. We intentionally sort of placed that in fairly early up front in the album to introduce people to the idea that this might be a bit different. But yeah, look, it's been, it's such a great bit. It's the whole analog vibe for us too was a real. I mean, you kind of feel crazy when you get to the end in some ways, and you go, mate, that was fun. That was a hell of a challenge. I really wish there was a Control Z undo button somewhere along the line through that process, but shit, there wasn't. So you throw that challenge at yourself, and you kind of get that. Everyone's obsessed. That pristine quality recording sort of stuff. We threw that sort of shit out the window. I mean, this is the sort of thing that you could easily hear, ideally on an LP, on a record, because it's got that warmth, but it's
got that quality. Yeah, absolutely. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. But it's we didn't do the LP, we didn't do the record thing, but it sort of had that feel for us. Anyway.
It's kind of like a greatest hits of music, your music. You know what I mean? Like, insofar as, so Smokestack has a great funk rock vibe, like a Rage Against the Machine vibe. Runaway Train for me is just Steely Dan and Creedence, man. I can feel that right the way through it, And then Youngblood has a By the Way vibe by the Chili Peppers. I heard a bit of that going on. There's a lot of other things there too. Yeah. But and then I loved, probably my favourite cut is What's Going to Happen Next, because of its Albert King vibe. It's got some muscular guitars in there, got a real Albert King blues feel to it. But there's so much. I mean, I've mentioned so much there, but it is there. So for the people listening who want to check you guys out on Spotify or iTunes or YouTube or whatever, band's Facebook page, man, you're really uncategorizable. All of those bands and those great artists that I mentioned, it's all imbued in the DNA that make up the Ninth Chapter.
Yeah, look, it's a bunch of dudes with all sorts of different experiences musically and walks of life that comes together, and it does bring that. She's a fair dinkum cocktail of musical fun. No other way to put it, I think. But it's good feedback, mate. I'm glad you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I do. I do enjoy it. It's I'm not just saying this. I think people who listen to me sometimes probably think that I'm very overly effusive in my praise of a lot of these Firestarter artists anyway, but it's not that, I've got the blinkers on and I'm just being praiseworthy for the sake of it. I'm genuinely enjoying this music. And it's really hard to find new music these days because you're not paying attention to it if you're going on Spotify mixes and Apple Music mixes and all the rest of it, but it's really satisfying to be able to sit through, in your case, you've got 9 cuts on the album, I think I'm right in saying.
Yeah.
And it's really satisfying to be able to put that on in the car. I live on the northern Gold Coast, so I've got a base up there on the sunny coast as well, so I was driving there and back today, and I've got 3 interviews on tonight, and I had your one on, but man, I just, the sun was beaming down. It was a really nice temperature today. It was only 25 or 26 degrees or something like that, not that bullshit heat that we've been getting for months. And it just suited, and I actually drove. The reason why I mentioned Ocean Street is because I had your music on as I was driving down Ocean Street. So it just fitted. It just worked.
Beautiful bit of serendipity.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. I think I'd put on some of the country stuff. It's not really, country stuff's good for highway driving, but yours is more upbeat and urban. You need to have sort of, it suits having a lot of people around it.
Yeah, it is really weird with like some of the blend of what we do. I think it's, one of the biggest challenges for us is that, we live a million miles apart. So I'm in Redcliffe and our trumpet player lives in Kiama.
Holy moly. In New South Wales?
That's like, I don't know, what is it, 1,400 k's apart or something? It's a fair way. Yeah. So for us, the recipe around how we do what we do is about, we want to make it musically interesting, but we also want to keep it simple and make it about, the kind of energy of the music. So when we play live, that's what we all love and what we live for. To be honest, we've loved all of our recording experiences, but we come together for that live moment. We're a band that loves the energy, loves the crowd, loves the, cliche, but, you love to bring the party, love to bring that sort of experience. So when you go into the studio and you want to put it down, it's like, how do we do that? And sort of stay true to, you can get clinical in the studio. You can lose all of that, all of that feel. I think that's a risk for a band like us that really thrives on that energy and because we are so distant apart, we write the parts, we practice them ourselves, and then we get together as a horn section. We're a million miles away, me and the trumpet player, but we've got to keep it simple. We can't be playing outrageous sort of tower of power lines because we can't get together 3 times a week to rehearse them. So it's been a really interesting musical journey for us to find our way, I think, as a band, for all of those ingredients to work, and I really think, this album, doing it analog and doing it the way we've done, it's been awesome. And the couple of gigs that we've had, the feedback we've had, at our album launches and the live shows has been just, fantastic for us, because I think we probably thought, we're doing something a bit different this time. There's a fair element, particularly when you're doing nine tracks, you're going to get a lot more variety and diversity in your album. Well, the aim, and it's probably a bit curious to see how people responded, but it's been, we've loved it.
Yeah, I'm glad, mate. I mean, it's the sort of music. I'd go so far as saying the majority of the artists that I interview are from the world of heavy metal, and punk rock. So that very broad banner of musicians and artists that fall under that there.
They don't have a lot of saxophone players, do they?
You'd be surprised at the fringes with some of the experimental stuff. There's a band called XI, I think they're called, and they're a bass guitar, a drummer, and a sax player, I think, and they make a hell of a racket. And there's a few other bands that do it, but I mean, if I assume you're of similar vintage to me, given you got kids, but in your late 30s, 40s. We remember ska. I remember ska coming up. That was always how I remembered, Mighty Boss Tones and Goldfinger and all of that sort of stuff. I don't know whether Goldfinger had trumpets and saxes now that I think back to it, but yeah, you know what I mean. We sort of grew up through Sublime. We grew up through that era, and I think one of the benefits of growing up through the eras that you and I have is that we were exposed to a hell of a lot of music, and the breaking open of the internet too, or the internet breaking open the music industry, so as though people could listen to whatever they want from wherever they want. I was listening to some stuff from the 50s on Bandcamp the other day, and I was just thinking, 20 years ago, you couldn't have done this. There's just no way. You wouldn't even know where to look.
Yeah, so true.
But your music is, as I say, it's like a greatest hits of great music over the last probably 50 or 60 odd years. Or so, Oh,
I love it.
It's all there.
Look, cheers. We've, it's quite, it's quite spontaneous how some of it comes together. And if you're in bands yourself, and you know what it's like sometimes. Over a song forever, it feels, and you eventually get it there, maybe, and then other times you do that and it still doesn't get there, and you just think this thing just got to go on the shelf. And then at other times, you're in between songs at a live show, and the guitarist is fixing a string, so the bass player throws something at you, and the drummer jumps on it, and then the horn's there, and all of a sudden, and that's actually how lots of the stuff kind of begins to evolve for us. Someone says, anyone remember what that thing was? And give it a name and call it something, and let's build it. So it's that kind of natural stuff that happens for us, and that's what we love about the music too.
So that sounds like a really good way to write, given you guys are geographically dispersed. So you get up on stage and one of the musicians throws something at another musician, and you guys, just like a locomotive going over a hill, you all just follow it. Is that typically how the songs are written, or do you do that thing where you're sharing songs in a virtual environment in the cloud, and people, I've got this great riff here, guys, or I've got this great sax part here, guys. What do you reckon we start building a song around it? Does it work that way?
It is absolutely a very much a combination of both those things. So we've, the internet does have that ability. You can flick grooves and links, and we do that. We've got a shared drive. We've got a shared folder that we chuck stuff in. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I suppose in a sense, it's that stuff in between songs and in between shows and in between gigs, because we are so far apart. When we do gigs, we generally make a weekend of it, and we'll do a doubleheader, or sometimes, if we're feeling crazy, three shows. We fly in, planes, trains, automobiles, everyone comes from all over the place, and we lob, and we end up we're playing Byron this weekend on Friday night, for example, and then we're playing on the Gold Coast on Saturday. So we're going to have all Saturday to kind of kick around, and I guarantee you something will probably be jammed on Friday night, and people are going to go, what do you reckon we could turn that into? And it's that sort of stuff. That absolutely happens.
Yeah, well, looking at your gig list here on Facebook, so you've done Night Quarter. That's really cool. Unfortunately, that's no longer around.
But,
you did Retro Bar, which is probably Brisbane's best small room to play in, I think, that one there. And
it's a great room.
You've done heaps of really cool places here. Hotel Brunswick, you've done, I saw Bellinger. Well, that's coming up, the Federal.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Fed.
Yeah, we're playing at the Federal in that'll be a couple of months or so, I think. 6 weeks maybe. We love Bello. Like, that's sort of, even though there's not one band member from Bellingen directly, it's almost like the homeland of
that's why you're doing your album launch there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're doing the whole kind of series of these gigs or album launch shows, I suppose. I mean, the very first one was at the Retro Bar, and then we played Hotel Brunny the night after that. But we've got Blues on Broadbeach coming up as well, which is going to be great fun.
I'm going to that. I'm going to that. I'm at Bond Uni, you see, so I'm going to that through Bond.
Oh, you beauty! Yeah, we actually played Bleached Festival Bond one a couple of years ago as well.
Oh, sweet! How'd you find it?
Yeah, I was actually pelting down with rain that day, but it was cool. We sort of shifted location of the gig in the end, but heaps of fun. And then I think the sun came out, and it was just the weirdest vibe ever. But it was a fantastic live, heaps of fun. Great bunch of people. The organisers, I remember, just super. I think it was Sonia, super nice bunch of organisers as well. Just great bunch of people to get on with.
Yeah.
So,
I'm finding it down there too, actually. It's really nice. But it's good for me too, man, being in my 40s, to be down there with, the eldest people. I think there's one other mature age student, but the rest of them are sort of 24 years and younger, mate. It's really given me a different view on so-called millennials, I've got to tell you, mate. These are most of them come from overseas, as you probably know, the United States and Europe. And these are some smart cookies that I'm in class with, mate. Holy shit. I listen to some of them talk, and they're 18, man, and they're already talking like lawyers. They've just got it down pat. You know, that really calm, collected, unemotional manner of delivering content. And you see some of them are just going to have really long, really fulfilling and brilliant careers. So it doesn't surprise me that your experience with some of them down there was like that.
Yeah, look, it absolutely was. And, I suppose we love getting amongst we've done lots of, we like doing those smaller boutique festivals, it feels like, too. Did the Cool Summer one down in Victoria not long ago, and the Wollombi Music Festival, and just, we've played Woodford a couple of times, which is awesome, but it's huge, it's an experience for all, it's just, it's amazing, but, you get this opportunity to just, at those smaller ones, are a bit more quaint and a bit more, I don't know, it just feels calm. You can get in there, you sit in the green room, you chat with a heap of other dudes, the hype isn't around it so much, it just feels, I don't know, it feels relaxed, it feels good. But, they're all fun. Anytime you get together with your great mates and you jump up on stage and you make cool music, like it's just fun every time. So we're blessed. We're a bunch of dudes that it's been going over a decade now, and just we sort of still pinch ourselves. I'll never forget. We had a bit of a hiatus with a band member went overseas. Two actually went overseas for about 13 months there at one stage, and a few of the fellas that were left, we kept a musical project going and had a bit of fun, but we had a gig lined up when the boys returned from overseas, and it was in Byron at the Rails, and we all rocked up as we just were doing, and from a year or so before, and we all rocked up. Hey, fellas, it was like we'd never been apart. We literally walked on the stage, hadn't seen each other for 14 months, jazz starts, just counts to 4, and we're straight into the first track like it. It was just ridiculous. So
that's an awesome connection.
That sort of camaraderie is what is the heart and soul of the band. So we're lucky, man. We're really lucky, Andrew. And, we don't take it for granted.
Look, you talk a lot of truth there. I mean, I've been in heaps of bands, and man, if that camaraderie isn't there, that spirit of that brotherhood, I call it, the spirit of the brotherhood or the sisterhood, that spirit of reciprocity isn't there, man. It's shit. It's awful. I mean, people have no idea how hard you work rehearsing things and then trying to make things work, and then you're on stage with somebody or even more than one person that you don't really get along with personally and you don't have a lot in common with socially. And it's like, oh, really, do I have to do this? So, man, that environment that you speak to there, man, that's why I think your music sounds so vibrant and enthusiastic, and it just jumps out of the speakers at you.
Oh,
it's that ingredient.
It's so funny. Yeah, it's an essential ingredient of our band. It is pretty. I mean, it's if you're adding a tablespoon of everything else, you're adding 3 cups of that part, and that camaraderie is what it is. For all of us, I was chatting to someone recently, another interview I think I had, and someone spoke about the kind of they'd seen us and they'd seen the energy of the band, and I said, you know what, I got off stage at the Brunny show, which a fairly recent one, and this guy walked up to me and he goes, mate, you guys, you're having more fun than the crowd, and we can't dance any harder. This is ridiculous. And I said, mate, we are absolutely having more fun than you guys. It's no secret, but yeah, so that is what it's about. And we don't, if you don't love it, then geez, we've always said the moment anyone sort of is feeling like this is laborious, let's just have a band meeting, which is basically a 6-pack, and let's talk about where this is going. Yeah. Because if it's not fun, then we've got to change something. Yeah. So it's still just amazing fun. So we're still doing it.
Mate, no wonder. Yeah. Mate, I better wrap things up because I've got to get to the next one. But before we do that, tell everybody where they can go and watch you guys, and also, too, where they can find your music, especially if they want to purchase it, because I really strongly suggest people get this one on CD or other non-MP3 format.
Yeah, okay. Well, look, we're selling the discs at the live shows at this stage. Is the only place you get your hands on a hot little disc. You could order one if you got on the Ninth Chapter website, so just ninthchapter.com. We've got all the social medias, the Instagrams and the Facebooks and all that sort of stuff going on. But the ninthchapter.com is where it's the website. So you'll see our gig schedule on there. Like I said, we're playing in Byron at the Rails this Friday, which is going to be a cracker, and then we're playing at Miami Marquetta on the Gold Coast on Saturday night, which is a fantastic event.
That's awesome. Yep.
They got great bands that get through that joint pretty regularly too. But we've seen some really cool artists hit that spot, and they've just got that great outdoor street festival food party vibe. Got a bar, and they've got a restaurant from every country you've ever been to, basically. So, or ever wanted to go to. So they're the next 2 shows. I know we've got Blues on Broadbeach in May, but to be honest with you, I don't have the gig list. I don't have the tour list in front of me, but
that's right. It's on your Facebook page. It's on your Facebook page.
It's all through there. Yeah. It is all through there. So,
what time,
if you want to get the music on Spotify.
But what time are you going on stage on Saturday night at the Marquetta?
I think it is 8 o'clock. There's generally, they have a little duo or something that play before, and then we jump on about 8:30ish.
Sweet. Yeah, so I might bring the kids down, mate. Yeah. I might bring the kids down to that one. Awesome. I'd love to see you guys live. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for things to do on Saturday night with them, man, and it turns out we've got it free. So, man, serendipity at play again.
Mate. Yeah, mate. Look, that'd be absolutely awesome. Come up and take it home. I'm the only one with a ponytail. So
gotcha. Yeah, I've stalked you. I've stalked you on Facebook. It's all right. I know what you look like.
Sweet. All right.
No worries.
Thanks heaps for the call, Andrew. Appreciate your time, mate.
No worries, brother. If you're comfortable with it. You have been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and that interview subject was Dillon Carlsson from the outfit The Ninth Chapter. Thank you so much for listening.